Happy Friday to you all. I'm going live today. And no, this is not the Purposeful Live Show episode. This is just me going live to answer a couple questions for two amazing people who have proposed questions for me last week. And what I'll start doing is once a week or once every other week, I will ask you to ask me a question. And when I do that, then you can comment on what question you want to ask me. Make sure you keep it clean, all right? No crazy stuff up in there. I won't answer it. But I wanted to also get in touch with you personally because a lot of times on the Purposeful Live show, I'm in the midst of interviewing guests. And a lot of times you're not going to hear much about me as a person or the human being of me and how I think about things. So I think it's a really good idea for me to start doing these with you and going live and having you ask me questions along the way. So, welcome today to this. This is going to be just about me answering two questions for two gentlemen, actually. So, I'm going to start with the first question here. And the first question that John Bordeaux asked me is this: best ways to stay motivated for your success goals as your mind fills with ants, automatic negative thoughts. Now, this is a great question. And I want to first thank John for sending this over to me. And John and I go way back. I used to be a personal trainer back in my day, and John worked out with me quite a bit. He is a beast, and I'm just so proud of how he's come so far in his life. He's got a great son who is just doing magic out there on the football field. And John, I just want to give you two thumbs up for just being an amazing father and being a good human being. And thank you for having the courage to ask me this question today. Before we get into how to deal with the automatic negative thoughts, let's just talk first about what are they and how did they come up? Well, an author named Dr. Daniel G. Amen came up with this idea from a book called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. In this book, he talks about ants, the automatic negative thoughts that come up in our brains when something triggers us. And then what happens is like being at a picnic, these ants start running all over the place. And what turns out to be a very nice lunch, a very nice gathering, turns out to be absolutely mayhem because the negative thoughts are going wild. And that's what we mean by automatic negative thoughts. There's something that happened, and then all of a sudden, you're thinking about negative things. The self sabotage kicks in. Oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm stupid, or this person made me think I'm incompetent. How dare them? And then you start spiraling out of control and you go into what we call the fight or flight response. And in most cases, it's fight. You're fighting everything and everyone in your environment, and it makes your day like hell, and you go in a downward spiral. So now let's talk about why do these automatic negative thoughts come up? Well, for one reason is that it's based on personal experience. What we don't realize is that we're highly impacted by what we go through in our lives. And a lot of times, the experiences that we have, if they're very bad experiences, we will put them deep down into what we call the subconscious part of ourselves, where it's out of sight, but it's not out of mind. And these parts of that part of us, subconscious part, we put all these negative things in, these experiences, they never get dealt with. And over time, they keep building and building, and then something or someone triggers it. And it's not their fault, it was already there. So that's why the automatic negative thoughts come up because we already thought a certain way about ourselves, and something just kind of ignites that. I want to give you kind of an image here. Imagine me inviting you to my house, and there's two stories or three stories, however you want to visualize it. I invite you to the front door, and you see all this nice material. You see the couches, you see the table, you see the dinner set, you see everything that possibly I want you to see. But in my house, I also have a basement where I've thrown all my shit from the past in that basement, where it's collect cobwebs, it's spiders all over the place, there's dust. You would never see that. But what happens is there's something in that basement that may get triggered. So if you bring up a conversation to me or anyone, and that conversation happens to connect to something in that basement, then here comes the automatic negative thoughts. It's as if they've opened the door to the basement and all this dust comes coming up. And that person on the receiving end, they're like, well, where the hell did this come from? Like, I don't know why you're upset about this. It's because there was an automatic centering of something. There was something that was inside of you that got pulled up. And this is what automatic negative thoughts do. And so what becomes a simple situation turns into a fiasco. And so John's question for me was, what are the best ways to stay motivated for your success goals as these automatic negative thoughts come up? And one of the best ways to stay motivated is to keep educating yourself. self-education is key. There's so many books out there right now that will say they have the cure-all for dealing with, negative thoughts. But one book that I just mentioned, I'll put it in the comments of this video, is from Dr. Daniel G. Amen. And he talks about changing your brain, changing your life. And in this book, he depicts the perspectives of the automatic negative thoughts, the ants. And he breaks them down into concepts of what you can do. And one of the first concepts is just stopping whenever you have a negative thought and just telling yourself to stop. And in that moment of telling yourself to stop, then there's something that triggers in your brain. And then you start thinking about something different. So you can actually train yourself when you have a negative thought to shift gears. One thing that I like to do with negative thoughts is I like to get up and move around because I'm a very active person. So when I'm feeling a certain way, I will get up from wherever I am and I'll start walking around. And then I will take a deep breath. I'll breathe in and breathe out. And I'll do as Louise Hayes always says, all is well in my world. Whatever is happening right now is happening. And the only thing I can do is to deal with how I'm going to respond going forward. It's not that person's fault. This is something I need to deal with on my end. And when we can stop blaming someone for how we feel in our environments, we can take responsibility. And that responsibility becomes our personal power. And we can move from personal pain to personal power when we take on our responsibility. So that answer to your question, John, what I like to do is I like to get up and move around. Exercise is a good key for me. Also, writing it down how I feel is a good way to deal and to stay motivated. Because here's the thing I've learned. We have become so set on trying to be strong, especially as men. So this is for all genders and all gender preferences, this conversation. But for men in general, it has been so difficult for us, especially the ones born in the 80s and 70s and 60s, baby boomers. We were taught to be strong, to be this kind of person that doesn't show feelings, to not show weaknesses. And reality is that vulnerability is a strength. And so when we have a feeling or an emotion, it is okay to say, I am sad right now. It is okay to say, I am pissed off. It is okay to say that I'm upset. It is okay to say that I'm scared or I'm uncertain. It is okay to say that. And if you don't want to say it verbally, write it out on a piece of paper. That way you're addressing your emotions, because emotions are energy in motion. You have to know how to deal with that energy because it's there and you cannot just ignore it. Because if you do ignore it, it's like that basement I mentioned earlier. It's going to seep up into a conversation. It's going to come up into a personal experience. Because when we see our lives, we're actually seeing it from perception. How I see my life is different how you see your life. And it's amazing how the human mind works. It works to protect us, and it also works to serve us. So if you have a goal that you're trying to reach, but yet your mind is trying to protect you from something that is not life-threatening to you, you're going to have some kind of controversy going on. So we have to learn how to get our brain in check and say, this is not a problem, a life-threatening problem. This is something that I need to deal with emotionally. And you may need to get some help for that. I'm not a CPT, or we call it cognitive behavioral therapist, but there are people out there who specialize in this that can actually help take you to the next level if you feel like it's something very deep and internal that you can't just simply read in a book and to deal with. So I do understand that there are deeper layers to our lives that we have to have some professional help. So I would say that if you're in that state in your life and you're listening to this and you really feel like there's no other way to go, there's no light at the end of the tunnel for yourself, then you need to get some really professional help for that. And you can look online to find those right people. But I hope that this answers your question, John. And another answer to stay motivated is to read. Read things that inspire you. Stop going to social media for validation. A lot of people do that these days because everyone is screaming for attention. Everyone wants to be the quote unquote guru to motivate somebody else. And then what happens is you go online and you're highly distracted by all the plethora of things and information coming to you at once. And your brain can't deal with all that. There's too much information. It's called overload. And then we go into what we call a fight or flight response again. Cortisol levels go up, stress levels go up, and then you get triggered by every single little thing. So take time away from social media, take time away from negative people and start giving yourself the opportunity to breathe, to exercise, to read books that are inspiring. Start with that book I told you about, Dr. Daniel G. Amen, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. There's also a book by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale called The Power of Positive Thinking. That's been one of my go-tos. Yeah, and I'll put that into the link of this video too as well. So there are things that you can do to stay motivated and believe in yourself. Tell yourself that you accept yourself, you love yourself, because self-talk is real talk, whether it's negative or positive. And that is how I stay motivated. And remember that your goal is there to help you move forward. Your goal doesn't define who you are and how successful you are. Your goal just allows you to get out of the stuck position and to start progressing and growing forward into what you're wanting to do along the way. So speaking of goals and how that ties into success, now it leads me to my second question with Mel Cario. And Mel, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name incorrectly here, but I know Mel. Mel is an awesome life coach, and he works a lot with people, helping them get their personal lives together and also their business lives. And so I've met Mel through a couple of interactions through some business networks. And so he's a great person. And it was a great question that you've asked here about what is the definition of success. I kept this question for last because it is such a broad topic. It's just like happiness. Everybody wants it, but not everybody is going to have it that certain way. And so for me, success, I've redefined, I've studied tremendously over, and I would have to say that success is not a one size fits all approach. Let's just get that straight right now. There's no one out here that's going to say that, hey, I've got the key to success and you're going to be successful just like me and you're going to be happy. It doesn't happen that way. Success is about what it means to you. How do you define success? And I want to encourage everyone watching today, do not get success mixed up with achievements. Those are two different things. A lot of us think that, well, if I only had this, if I get this much money, if I have this in my career, if I have this many clients, if I have this many likes on my social media, this many downloads, this many subscribers, blah, 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 then I'm going to be truly successful. No, that's called achievements. Because when all that goes away and the smoke clears, what do you have? You got you. And no one's going to walk up to you and say, oh, you are so successful because you had this, 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 and this. Half the time, most of those people won't even remember that. So I go by the Marcus Aurelius phrase, you have to understand that it's not about you, it's about who you are becoming, your thought process. And so that's success to me. It's about values. What are your values? And do your values align with your goals? The problem that a lot of people get in trouble with is they have too many goals and they have the wrong damn goals. That's what's going on with them. And they can't figure out why they're not happy. Have you ever thought about this? I'm going to get real with you here. Why there's some people across the world who seem to have everything that you've ever imagined that you could have, but yet they are not happy. They're depressed. They're in and out of relationships. They're in and out of things, problems with the law. They've got a lot of internal issues, drug abuses, other things that are going on. But yet they seem to have everything that you would want to have. And you can't figure out why they're not happy. Well, that's because what they've achieved is not what aligns with truly their value systems. They're good at what they do, skill set wise. And I give them that. I'm not taking any of that away. But it doesn't align with their values. My values are health. My value is integrity. My value is learning. It's adventure. It's love. It's family, friends. And I would never step out of line of integrity to achieve something that would take me away from that kind of value system that I have. So what I do is I make sure that my actions of my values are in alignment with what I'm trying to achieve, meaning that I know who I am when I'm in pursuit of something. So to me, that is a success. But to the person who's achieving things all around the world and doing everything, and they have all the money they've ever wanted, all the materials, but yet they are morally bankrupt, that's not success to me. That's called they're good at what they do, achievement-wise, but they've lost their way along the way. So success has to mean something to you, and it has to align with your value systems of what you really enjoy and what's connected to you as you grow here on this planet. And I want us all to realize that we're humans and we're creating human messes along the way. And that's called living. It's called learning. It's called growing. It's called trying things out. And part of that is your success. It is getting things down and improvement, not repeating the mistakes over and over and expecting different results, which Albert Einstein always said is insanity. But looking at things and saying, what can I learn from this situation? And how can I avoid doing that again and to maximize on the opportunities of doing better next time? That's a success to me. That's what I call it, the journey of success. I don't care how many accolades you've got. That's why I'm never a starstruck person. I've seen people who are stars and who have great statuses. I've sat next to at dinner with them and had conversations, but I've never been impressed by what they have or what they've achieved. I've been impressed with the person who showed up to that conversation authentically, the real person. And that's, to me, is a success. So think about what success means to you and how do you want to go forward in your life, having that be in alignment with your value system. Because as I said before, success is not a one size fits all approach. And it's not about getting the gold at the end of the rainbow perspective. Because last time I checked, there has been no one who has found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Okay. And if they have, send them to me and I will put them on the Purposeful Life show and we'll talk about how much that gold is worth. But it's not the end of the rainbow that matters. It's the colors, it's a spectrum of it. All those personal experiences that we have called the human journey that allows us to be a person of success that achieves great things. That's what success is to me, to be a person of success who achieves great things. So if you're going back and watching this video, one step, let's stop the comparison games of who has what, who's doing this and who's doing that. Let's start looking at where you were 5 years ago and where you are now. And look at your progress in those small steps and look how far you've come. I'm not the same person that I was 2 years ago or even 5 years ago. I'm a completely reinvented person because I chose to be more in alignment with who I am and who I choose to be. And that means the world to me. Success is a teacher in a school. She wakes up every morning happy to serve her class, and her students love her. That is a true success. 1 second, I had something pop up on my screen here. So that teacher is a success. A person who is a sanitation specialist who spent 30 years in the field of cleaning bathrooms, cleaning buildings, and they make sure that the building is healthy and is free of bacteria and germs, and they know what they're doing and they're proud of it, they're a success. You can have a person who gets on their G5, their jet, fill it up, have all the money in the world, have all the options for everything they've ever wanted. But yet they treat people like shit. But yet they use people. But yet they try to find a way to get ahead without allowing people to work with them. They're horrible at communicating with other people because they just think it's all about them. That's a failure to me. Once again, I don't care how much a person has or what they have achieved as much as I care about who they are right now in this moment in interaction with me. That's who the person I'm after. So that's what success means to me. And so I'm going to go ahead and end this video today. I didn't mean to go this long, but I'm going to put into the comment section the 2 books that I referred to regarding the automatic negative thoughts. And also, too, for this particular answer for the definition of success, there's a book called The University of Success by Og Mandino. Now, Og Mandino is a bad boy. Let me tell you, if you don't know Og Mandino, what are you reading? Come on. What are you reading? His books alone have helped to serve me in so many ways. It's called The University of Success, and it talks about success on so many different levels, which I just explained to you today. So, to recap quickly here, for the people that are just maybe jumping on, you can always replay this video back. I talked about automatic negative thoughts and how we can actually stop those negative thoughts from occurring by one, taking deep breaths, going on some type of walk, exercising, reading something, or listening to some kind of soothing music. But for some of us, automatic negative thoughts are much deeper than that. And it comes from some type of trauma, some type of past experience that we have to deal with on a different professional level. And then there's the definition of success. And I gave you a long answer on it because success is not a one size fits all approach. And to never get success mixed up with achievements, those are two different things. I'm wishing you all much love and success, and to remember that you are a badass, courageous creator of change of your own world, and that you're a human being on a human journey making some human mess. And that is okay. Be easy on yourself. Have an amazing Friday, everyone.